Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack insights for, well, thriving in this pretty complex world we live in. Today, our mission is to explore what's being called an inside out blueprint for success and fulfillment. I mean, in a world that often feels chaotic, maybe it's a tough workplace, maybe tricky family stuff. How do we actually flourish, not just, get by? We're digging into an article that offers a really interesting framework for this, and luckily we've got the author right here with us to guide the way.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm the writer and owner of the Startup Literature blog and the author of the article we're looking at today, 7 Habits to Transform Your Life, the inside-out blueprint for success and fulfillment. Let me start with this. Have you ever felt just stuck? Maybe in a toxic work environment, where micromanagement kills any spark or gossip just poisons the well. Or maybe it's a family situation. Just constant conflict feels impossible to find any common ground. It's draining, isn't it? Now, think about something truly extreme, almost unimaginable. The Nazi concentration camps. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, he went through hell there. Lost his family, forced labor, starvation. But amidst all that horror, he didn't just survive. He found meaning. He kept his inner self intact. He noticed that those who held on to some sense of purpose, they were often the ones who made it through. Now, thankfully, our challenges aren't usually that extreme. But, chronic stress, these toxic environments, they do wear down our mental health. They absolutely hinder our potential. So my goal in this deep dive, drawing from my article, which builds on Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, is to revisit some fundamentals of human psychology, to develop practical systems for resilience, meaning, and, well, real success.
Okay, this inside out idea, it sounds like it pushes back against some common thinking about success. What's the core of it?
It absolutely does. There's ancient wisdom, like Heraclitus saying character is destiny. That's sort of the foundation. For a long time, though, the focus was on what we might call the personality ethic.
Ah, right. Like charisma, positive thinking, communication tricks.
Exactly, those outward traits. The idea that they're the main drivers of success. Kind of a quick fix, maybe a surface polish. And look, those things aren't useless in, say, a first meeting. But they often lack the substance for long-term success, for deep relationships. Stephen Covey, in his work, really challenged this. He brought forward this principle-centered, character-based idea, an inside-out paradigm. It basically says that real, sustainable success, it has to start with inner transformation, with changing who you are on the inside. And in my own work, my articles, I really emphasize that this lasting change begins with self-mastery, what Covey called private victory.
That makes a lot of sense. Start with yourself first. It feels foundational. So what is that very first step in this private victory?
The first step, and honestly, probably the most fundamental, is habit 1. Be proactive. Now, this is more than just, taking initiative. It's deeper. It's about taking responsibility for your life. Think about the word itself, responsibility. It's your inherent ability to choose your response to absolutely any situation. External circumstances don't have to dictate your inner state.
So moving away from feeling like things just happen to you.
Precisely. Reactive people often feel like, well, leaves in the wind.
Yeah.
Their mood, their actions are dictated by the weather, by what other people do or say. You hear it in their language. I can't do that. I have to go. That's just the way I am. It's disempowering language. Proactive people, on the other hand, they're guided by their values. They carry their own weather, as Covey put it. External storms don't shake their inner core as much.
Like Eleanor Roosevelt's line, no one can hurt you without your consent.
Exactly. That's the perfect illustration. It links straight back to Viktor Frankl finding that inner freedom, even in the camps. Your core self is untouchable unless you allow it to be. And, from my own observations and writing, if you constantly see yourself as powerless, well, that often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You act in ways that confirm that belief. Proactive folks focus their energy where it counts, on what they can control. And fundamentally, that's themselves.
Okay, give me an example, like at work.
Sure. Say you're unhappy with your boss. Instead of just complaining, which is reactive, you focus on improving your own skills, maybe looking for solutions, or even planning your next career move. That's proactive. Or you dislike the office gossip. Simple. Proactively choose not to participate. Don't listen, don't spread it. Unreasonable client demands. Instead of just getting frustrated, you proactively shift to problem-solving mode. What can we do here? So the actionable takeaway is this. Consciously define yourself. See yourself as productive, skilled, principled. And actively practice identifying your circle of influence, what you can actually affect, and take small, proactive steps within it every day.
Okay, so being proactive gives you that sense of control, that freedom. How do we then make sure we're using that freedom effectively, heading towards something meaningful? What about that clear vision?
That leads perfectly into habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. And again, this isn't just about setting goals like I want to get a promotion. It's much bigger. It's about defining your ultimate destination, your deepest values. Who do you want to be? It's really an identity formation process, which I've explored in my other writings too. You have to ask yourself, am I just chasing some hollow definition of success? Or maybe living out someone else's script for my life?
So the end isn't just a goal, it's who you are at your core.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a goal like write a book and an aspirational identity like I want to be a person who shares wisdom and clarity through writing. See the difference? One is an outcome, the other is a state of being, a guiding principle. This principle-centered identity gives you this incredible inner freedom because you're not constantly looking outside for validation. You're less swayed by external pressures or changing circumstances. Now contrast that with what you might call a fact-centered identity. This is where people build their sense of self around external things, their job title, their family role, how much money they make, their social group.
Which sounds precarious.
Extremely precarious because those external things will change. Jobs end, kids grow up, finances fluctuate, friendships evolve. If your identity is built on those shifting sands, you're incredibly vulnerable. Your whole world can collapse. I actually saw this happen firsthand, quite tragically. A friend in graduate school, his identity was completely wrapped up in being the helpful friend. He was friend-centered. He felt compelled to say yes to everyone, always helping, always available. He got completely overwhelmed, wasn't sleeping, totally exhausted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he eventually just collapsed, physically and mentally. He ended up hospitalized, and it derailed his entire academic career. He simply couldn't prioritize his own needs because his identity was built on pleasing others. It was just a stark, stark reminder for me. You cannot build a stable life on anything other than a solid foundation of your own guiding principles. So the actionable thing here, really take time to define your core values.
Yeah.
Visualize the person you aspire to be at. Say, your own funeral, what would you want said? And then consciously align your daily choices with that vision.
Okay, that's powerful. So we're proactive, habit 1. We have this guiding vision, this identity, habit 2. But life throws so much at us, right? How do we actually focus on those important things day to day and not just get swamped by urgent stuff?
That's the perfect segue to habit 3. But first things first, this is the practical application. It's the discipline to act on habits 1 and 2. And crucially, Covey emphasized, and I echo this in my work, this isn't just time management. That's too superficial. It's about managing ourselves. You know, my insights show that just setting goals isn't enough. And sometimes being hyper-efficient, just ticking boxes, can actually backfire. You can become rigid, maybe damage relationships, trying to stick to a schedule. Habit 3 is about achieving important results while preserving and building those key relationships. It's about effectiveness, not just efficiency.
Okay, how do we do that practically?
The key tool here is the urgent important matrix. You probably know it. It divides tasks into 4 quadrants.
Right, urgent and important but not urgent.
Exactly. Quadrant 3 is urgent and important crises, deadlines, real problems. We have to deal with these.
Yeah.
Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. Lots of interruptions, some meetings, other people's minor issues. This is a trap. It feels productive because it's urgent, but it doesn't move your important goals forward. Quadrant 3 is not urgent and not important. Pure distractions, time wasters. Now, many people live in quadrants 3 and 3, constantly fighting fires and reacting to urgent but unimportant demands, and then escaping to quadrant 3 for relief.
And they neglect quadrant 3.
Precisely. Quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. This is where the real leverage is. Long-term planning, building relationships, preventative activities, exercise, learning, creative thinking. These are the high-impact activities that build capacity for the future. But because they aren't screaming for attention right now, they often get pushed aside. Focusing on Quadrant 2 requires habit 1, the proactivity to choose to spend time there, even when it's not urgent. And it requires habit 2, that principle-centered identity, to know what belongs in your Quadrant 2, and have the clarity to say yes to those things, and no to less important things, even if they feel urgent.
So you have to consciously make time for the important, non-urgent stuff.
You got it. The actionable takeaway, it sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Schedule your priorities. Don't prioritize your schedule. Block out time for your Quadrant 2 activities first. It's like Robert Kiyosaki's pay yourself first idea in finance. You allocate resources to your most important investments, in this case, your Q2 activities, before anything else gets a chance to steal that time.
Okay, this is fascinating. We've built this foundation of self-mastery, the private victory. It really feels like that sets the stage for how we deal with other people. How does this translate into, success in relationships in our public lives?
It's a very natural progression. That inner success, that independence you build through habits 1, 2, and 3 is the absolutely essential foundation for effective interactions with others. You can't really collaborate effectively if you're not solid within yourself. So the inside-out approach extends directly into our social and professional lives, moving us toward what Covey called public victory. And this starts with habit 4. Think win-win.
Win-win. That sounds optimistic.
It's more than optimistic. It's a philosophy. It's a deep belief in seeking mutual benefit in all human interactions. You look for solutions where everyone feels good about the outcome, where no one feels like they've lost or been taken advantage of. It's the bedrock of strong, lasting relationships. Now, it helps to contrast it with the alternatives, which are unfortunately very common. There's win-lose. I get my way, you don't. Very common in competitive situations, sports, sometimes business. But in ongoing relationships, it breeds resentment, erodes trust. Think about managers who rank their employees against each other. They explicitly create losers. That's win-lose.
Right, or lose-win where you let others walk all over you.
Exactly. That's often driven by a need for acceptance, but it's not sustainable either. You end up feeling used. And then there's the really toxic one, lose-lose. This is the mindset of if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. It's driven by conflict, revenge. It leads to sabotage and destroys everything. But here's a crucial addition Covey made, which I find incredibly powerful. Win-win or no deal.
No deal, meaning you walk away.
Yes. It's the safety valve. It means if you genuinely cannot find a solution that feels like a win for both parties, you agree to disagree agreeably and walk away. No deal. This frees you from feeling forced into a compromise that violates your principles or leaves you feeling resentful. You don't have to make a deal at any cost. This paradigm was truly life-changing for me personally. I discussed this in my writings because it was so impactful. For years, I was caught in a difficult lose-win dynamic with a controlling family member. I kept pouring my time, my energy, my resources into trying to meet their demands, trying to make them happy. And the thing is, it never worked. The demands just grew. The criticism continued, the psychological toll. It became unbearable. Frankly, it pushed me to a very dark place considering ending things. Discovering win-win or no deal was like finding an escape hatch. It gave me the permission, the framework, to say, I cannot meet these expectations without destroying myself. This isn't working, so no deal. It allowed me to reclaim my sense of self, set healthy boundaries, and ultimately rebuild my life on a healthier foundation.
Wow, that's incredibly powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
It underscores why this isn't just theory. So, achieving win-win. It requires this balance Covey talked about. The courage to state your own needs and feelings in Stevens. Consideration, the genuine effort to understand the other person's needs and perspective. And underlying all this is what he called an abundance mentality, the belief that there's plenty for everybody, enough success, enough credit, enough happiness. It fosters collaboration, not rivalry. Think of it like an emotional bank account with each person you interact with. Every interaction is a deposit or a withdrawal. Win-win makes deposits. Win-lose-lose, win-lose-lose. Those make huge withdrawals. That family situation I mentioned, that was a massive long-term overdraft.
That emotional bank account metaphor is really useful. And that balance of courage and consideration. It raises the question, though, how do we actually get to that mutual understanding required for win-win, especially when emotions are high?
That leads us straight into the next habit, which is really the engine of win-win. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is the core communication skill. It means making a genuine effort to see the world from the other person's point of view before you try to get your own point across. It requires deep, empathic listening.
Which is different from how most of us usually listen, right?
Totally different. Most of us listen with the intent to reply. We're formulating our response while the other person is still talking. We filter everything through our own experiences, our own biases. We might say things like, oh yeah, I know exactly how you feel. The same thing happened to me. Here's what I did. We think we're relating, but we're actually projecting our own story onto them.
So empathic listening is about really getting into their world.
Exactly. Seeing the situation through their eyes, understanding their perspective, feeling what they might be feeling, not necessarily agreeing, but deeply understanding. When you do that, you build incredible trust. You make huge deposits in that emotional bank account. People feel heard, validated. Now, I'll admit, as I've written about, this is a lesson I've had to learn the hard way myself, especially professionally. For a long time, I prided myself on being efficient, getting things done quickly, but I wasn't always effective. I'd rush ahead without fully understanding what my collaborators or clients really needed or how they saw the project.
Leading to misunderstandings.
Oh yeah, lots of wasted time, negative energy, rework.
Yeah.
because I hadn't taken the time up front to truly understand their perspective. I treated the relationship aspect as secondary to just getting the task done. My big realization was efficiency without effectiveness is ultimately just spinning your wheels. It's unproductive in the long run. Once you've truly understood the other person, once that trust is there, then and only then can you effectively present your own ideas. Your credibility is much higher because they know you've heard them. Of course, this takes vulnerability. But again, that's where the private victory comes in. Your principle-centered identity, habit 2, gives you the security to listen without feeling threatened or losing yourself.
It really is fascinating how these build. Proactivity gives you choice. Begin with the end gives direction. Put first things first gives focus. Win-win sets the intention for relationships. Seek first to understand provides the tool, leading to genuine collaboration.
Precisely. That leads us naturally to habit 6. Synergize. Synergy is that magic where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3 or 10 or 100. It's about truly valuing the differences in people, different perspectives, experiences, strengths. When you combine those openly and creatively, you can come up with solutions far better than anything any single person could have thought of alone.
So it's not just compromise.
No, definitely not compromise where everyone kind of gives something up and you meet in the middle. Synergy is about creating a third alternative that's better than either person's original idea. It transcends the limitations of individual thinking. But it requires a high degree of trust, built through habits 4 and 5, openness and vulnerability. You have to be willing to let go of your ego. You need to be right and genuinely explore other possibilities. Think of a great brainstorming session on a team. When people feel safe to share all their ideas, even the half-baked ones, and build on each other's thoughts without judgment, that's when synergy happens. You get breakthrough thinking.
Okay, so we've built this strong inner foundation, learned how to connect and collaborate effectively. That covers a lot. How do we keep it all going? How do we sustain this, for the long haul without burning out?
The crucial final piece. Habit 7, sharpen the saw. If the first 6 habits are about producing effectiveness, habit 7 is about preserving and enhancing your capacity to produce. It's about continuous self-renewal and investment.
Like the woodcutter story.
Exactly the analogy Covey used. The woodcutter is so busy sawing down trees, he says he doesn't have time to sharpen his saw. But of course, the duller the saw gets, the harder he has to work, the less effective he becomes, and eventually he just exhausts himself. It's the same for us. If we don't regularly take time to sharpen ourselves, we risk burnout, stagnation, and our effectiveness in all the other habits diminishes. Sharpening the saw means consciously and consistently renewing the 4 key dimensions of your nature: physical, exercise, nutrition, rest; mental, reading, learning, planning; emotional, social, building relationships, service, empathy; and spiritual, connecting with values, nature, meditation, art. It's about regularly investing in yourself across all these areas so you can operate at your best capacity, avoid burnout, and keep growing.
This has been incredibly illuminating. It really paints a picture of these 7 habits as this interconnected framework, doesn't it? Guiding us from maybe dependence through independence built on self-mastery, and ultimately towards effective interdependence with others. And for everyone listening, it's clear this isn't an overnight fix. Change takes patience, it takes persistence. But it sounds like each step, each habit you cultivate makes you the bit more proactive, more focused, more aligned with what truly matters. And maybe as you do that, you discover that the greatest success isn't just about what you achieve out there, it's really about who you become inside.
That truly captures the essence of the journey. And these paradigms, these habits, they're really extensions and applications of the principles I explore throughout my writings on startup literature and bullishbooks.com. What I aim to provide are actionable, specific ways to actually cultivate these habits in your daily life. They genuinely form a blueprint for lasting success and, importantly, fulfillment. So if you're looking to go deeper, I absolutely encourage you to visit bullishbooks.com. You'll find more insights, resources, and related articles there. We have content on things like the compound effect of atomic habits, which ties into building these practices, the ultimate guide to building meaningful relationships, connecting to the public victory habits, things like the 80-20 principle for focus, and even 48 hours to freedom. I really urge you to explore the blog and subscribe. It's all designed for your continued personal and professional growth.